So like I just complained about people that I have to write a check to, just put a payment portal online. And that business, because unfortunately, these people that I'm doing business with, as soon as I find an alternative that has similar quality, similar pricing,
easier to work with,
even if it was a little bit more money,
mm-hmm.
the amount of, and this sounds so, like, it is embarrassing for me to say, but like the time it takes me to write a check,
mm-hmm.
process a check, think about a check, find the checkbook, like.
Welcome to the Value Factory Podcast, brought to you by One Accord. We're all about helping businesses thrive and grow through leadership, strategy, and meaningful impact. Now, whether you're a seasoned executive or just starting out, our goal is to provide insights and inspiration to help you navigate your journey. Thanks for tuning in.
Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3. And then John Steckler, Value Factory.
Take one.
Welcome back to the Value Factory. I am joined today by the one, the only, the infamous John Steckler. We're going to talk all things sales, sales strategy, growth strategy. Let's start, though, with your, you came to One Accord, joined One Accord about 10 years ago, maybe it was 8, somewhere in between, after a long career helping brands grow, helping businesses grow. You learned some things from that. Let's start, though, like, where'd you come from? What, tell us about John.
Well, a product of the Northwest. I went to the University of Washington, and I wound up starting a career in sales, and I did very, very good at it. I was a great salesman. So they wanted to put me in sales management. So I got into sales management, where you have to get things done for other people. And I learned, how do you get things done for other people? How do you motivate them? And one of the best ways is, number one, you don't manage them the way you manage yourself. You bring things out in them. You engage them, and people are better after having worked with me. And the best way to do that is to be creative, to be exciting, and to do things differently, and to make people a part of that. And that's when I learned 2 great loves. And one was, I didn't love managing people. I loved engaging people and growing people. Boy, that was fulfilling. And doing things differently, thinking outside of what is currently there. Yeah, it's funny. Change is inevitable. Change is difficult. But if you could just say it's inevitable and forget the second part, everywhere you go, whatever industry you're in, and I did this. I went from television to, sports products, high tech, software, healthcare, even in self-storage. Self-storage was great. Great ammunition for the Christmas card. Every year, my wife would say, she's doing great, the boys are doing great, and John is still in storage. It was a wonderful card. And we did that for 5 years that I was in self-storage business. But each one's different. But the only thing that was consistent in every one of them, I did things that were new, that were different, solved a problem, and we grew.
You said something right here that is not a conversation you and I have had. And we've had a lot of conversations. Yeah. So I want to go here. People are better after working with you and bringing the best out of people. So you and I met, I don't know how many years ago it was, could have been 10 years ago, plus or minus, when you introduced me as a new member to the Seattle Rotary Club.
That's right.
So I've known you before we actually worked together.
That's right.
And just in my experience being around you, you're a positive guy, you're encouraging, you're uplifting. Like, I enjoy spending time with you, but you're talking about something different than that. You're talking about helping people get better.
Right. That was more fulfilling than any amount of sales success I could have.
Yeah.
Now, what if you could take that a step further and say, instead of just people, how can you make companies better by having hired me, by having worked with me? So then I got on this feeling of, having CEOs that would say, we've grown because John was here and he saw that we needed to change the way we sold the product, priced the product, product development, the products we were missing that we weren't even developing, the different opportunities. So that was fulfilling. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I got to One Accord, I was at a stage in my career where I'd done very well.
Yeah.
And I'd made good money, invested really well. And so all of a sudden I didn't need to work anymore. What a great feeling to be, but I wanted to work.
Yeah.
One Accord gave me the opportunity to work with different companies over the last 10 years. And I really focused that down to, please just bring me the companies that are in trouble, the ones that need to grow, the ones that have plateaued out or they've been declining for the last 4 or 5 years, or they're a young company that just is not launching right. And let me help those companies. And that's been my joy.
Okay. It's a tough thing to do. Tough thing to do to step in. First of all, to find the owner of a company, the leader of a company who's willing to say things aren't going well.
Right.
Now, it's easy to say, well, the financials show, or I don't know, our customers aren't buying. Like, how do you crack that egg to make the omelet? If you follow the analogy there.
Well, I think you said it first. It's the financials are the lead, and every owner, their company is like their child too. They want it to grow and grow well.
Yeah.
And if it's not growing, that's a concern. And if it's so, why I say it doesn't even need to be declining. It could be plateaued. It's just, we're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We need to grow. And usually I have some great referral partners that have worked with companies, maybe in a legal capacity or investment capacity, and they see it and they say, why don't you guys talk to One Accord? And if it's a growth issue, why don't you talk to John Steckler at One Accord?
Goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
I put myself in my own shoes. Like One Accord is, half of it's my company.
Yep.
Half of it's Jeff's, but I'm the CEO. I'm the owner that's running the business every day.
You are.
And if things aren't going well, first of all, I'm never going to tell my wife. I'm not going to tell my mother.
No.
I'm probably not going to tell the people that work with me all of the reasons why I'm afraid, feeling insecure, inadequate, imposter syndrome. And I think that I'm a more transparent CEO than many. And yet, no, I wouldn't. I would, grit my teeth, I'd white knuckle it, and I'd try to make it through until a point where I'm going to break.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe, hopefully, by the grace of God, one of my friends is going to be like, man, you should talk to John.
Right.
Right. I'm not going to necessarily be on the hunt for somebody that's going to tell, okay, company's my baby. I don't want George Costanza to stand over the crib and say like, oh, it's a very unique baby. Right? So it's the introduction from a trusted advisor.
That goes a long way.
Cracks the egg the first time.
Right.
I want to go back to, though, making companies better, making people better. When I was a young professional, 18, 19 years old, I would hear then guys that are my age. So, I'm mid 40s now. I'd hear those talk about, the real joy in my career is giving back to the next generation. But I was that next generation. I was like, I don't understand this, but it sounds like something cool. I don't even know if I'm there yet in my life where I can actually say that I'm developing the next generation. I'm still kind of in it. But there's something to that notion of helping people realize their potential. Okay. A lot of people talk about doing it. How do you actually do it?
It's a process. And it's the only thing that's constant is the process. The outcomes are always different. Yeah, different for every single company. But if you follow this process, and a long time ago, the problem with type A people that want to get results, we're prone to action, right? So we look for something to say, there's the answer. I got to do that. Let's start to focus on this. And what I do is I come and say, CEOs always ask me, okay, you're a growth expert. How would you grow my company? I look them right in the eye and say, I have no idea. Right now, sitting in front of you, I could tell you based on history with other companies, but that doesn't make any relation to your company or industries like yours. I say, you're different time. I need to sit back and go, I call it a journey. a journey of discovery, and I collect data. Data will give me the answer, and that's how we're going to grow. So I will never give you the answer on how you're going to grow, but I can see, uncover, isolate that piece of data that shows how we can grow your company. And I'll share that with you and how we can take advantage of it. I'll show you the process of how we're going to do it. I talk to, starting with leadership, and I have individual meetings with the leadership, never a team. They're always individual. I'm looking for, first of all, is there unity? Are we in agreement in the direction of the company? Because sometimes you find out, oh, your leadership team is going in a couple of different directions here. That could be a problem. That's something we need to work on, but that's not the solution. That's just an issue that we need to work on. Then look at line management. I talk to customers. I analyze the competition. I love this one. I talk to their vendors. The people that this company buys from, they have a vested interest to make sure this company is successful.
They keep buying.
So they keep buying.
Yeah.
And they talk to the competition. They sell to the competition. They're never going to give you, competitive information, but they see things that this company needs to do differently in order to grow. I take all of these people and then I collect all the data, and it sifts down into 1, 2, 5 different solutions, but you always find that one big one. There was one client, one company where the the solution was, it was too darn difficult to buy. It was the way they were structured, made it very difficult for consumer to buy them. They need to make the process easier. More people will buy. We made the process easier. More people buy. Kind of a simple way to grow.
Right. We say regularly, it's hard to read the label from the inside of the pickle jar.
I love that. You can't read the label from the inside of the jar. I haven't heard that one, but I like that one.
Yeah.
The thing I can bring, and every consultant like a One Accord can bring, is fresh eyes to your company. And with fresh eyes, you're not encumbered by what's happened in the past. You're just looking at what's there in the present, and you see it's easier to see what's available to you or opportunities for you in the future. I even found that when I was a W-2 employee.
Yeah.
I go into a company, I do that same process, I create all this change. And then I found after a certain period of time, I wasn't creating more change because I'd done so much and we were so far ahead. Those fresh eyes became weaker. There wasn't that need. And so I moved on a lot.
That makes perfect sense to me. And I have an opinion that I shared in some, social media content that got some attention. Not everybody agreed. The idea is that builders are not gardeners. Hunters, gatherers, builders, gardeners, builders, maintainers, but gardeners mixing. That fresh set of eyes could also be understood as kind of a disposition or an orientation to solve problems, build things, fix things. And I think that if I was going to start a new product line, if I was going to go into a new market, if I'm going to stand up a new division, and I wanted someone to help me lead that initiative, I'm really clear right now. I'm not hiring a full-time permanent position that's going to run that for the next 10 years. I'm actually looking to hire someone who's going to build it for 9 months. And then for the next 3 months, identify who the gardener is that's going to maintain it and then hand it over. And there's 2 different skill sets. That's a reason why. Candidly, I think that the builders are more expensive. So in other words, someone who has all the skills, the knowledge, the experience to build this thing, and they might cost 150% of what someone who can come in and maintain.
More than likely, for that same period of time.
Yeah. So why pay the builder salary to maintain? And 2 years in, you're bored.
Yep.
But you're also on the inside of the pickle jar. So anyhow, that's my
great.
That's my hot take on that one.
Great comment I had one time was a client said to me, John, why don't you just stick around, clip coupons, take your salary and your bonuses. You've done it. This thing's grown. He was right. But that's not me.
Yeah.
I get off on the change and on the success. And that's why, at a certain point in my life, I stopped being a full-time W-2 employee.
Yeah.
That's the joy I have. And, you brought up a great point. I think we owe it to every client that hires us, especially in my case. I'm going to find those solutions, how you can grow. I'm going to write the plan, how you would implement those solutions. And then I'm going to give you, the client, the opportunity to make a decision. I can implement. I can help one of your people implement. I can implement, but if I do, I'll do it for a period of time, and then I'll find you a replacement. I always do, because I don't want to be there forever. What a great employee to have. Seriously. Yeah.
That's funny. We said the same thing.
What a great, they don't want to be here forever. They just want to get the results and go.
Yeah.
And as a leader, now I will tell you also, clients always want to hire me full time.
Yep.
It's always that the last gasp is, why don't we hire you, John? It's not me.
And it's, because I'm not the right person for this job.
No, not long term.
Right. There's, so many analogies I can give to that are relational, and they're human in nature.
Mm-hmm.
We get comfortable with the people that we see regularly. You've delivered results.
Yep.
If you can do A, certainly you can do B,
or B and C and D maybe. And
right.
You go,
not.
No, it just, and the value is there to the client when you give them the plan, the opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and the plan. We always provide a super value, because that alone, if you were to have one of your people take over, it's probably the best investment you'll ever make in your company.
Yeah.
Ever.
And yet, so what you're referring to is the process, that journey before the plan,
right?
The discovery, the data, the uncovering, the speaking with client. And somebody working and said, well, I talk to our clients every day. I talk to our vendors every day. What's John gonna? And here's a truth that I think people in our industry are not, they're reticent to acknowledge, but it's just true. Most of the time, we're not telling the owner of the business something they don't already have an instinct around.
Exactly.
Which is different than, like, it's not that we're telling them something they already know. It's not that clear, but there's an instinct there. So when we deliver, hey, here's 5 things that would, like, well, yeah, I kind of know that. So then the question is, well, why haven't you done it? And the answer might be, I just don't have the personnel. I don't have the people to do it. I don't know how to do it. It makes sense, but it's too much of a risk. I'm not sure that I should. So we've just validated, go for it. Do it.
Yeah. You talk about the good point with the customers. CEOs talk to their customers all the time, they say. But how many of those customers really want to tell that CEO their baby's ugly?
Right.
They don't. That's not their job. Neither do the vendors.
People in general don't like to say things that are not complimentary.
Exactly.
How's your day? It's good. Okay.
The other thing you need to do too is when you talk about an opportunity, here's a growth opportunity. Let's say it's pricing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the expectation from this action? If we change how we price, what's the return on that? I'm very analytical in how I approach these solutions. I want to have some expectation of what it's going to do, so the CEO can now say, I could expect anywhere from X to double X in return for doing this. Very few people that have very creative ideas approach it with that attitude. They approach it with, we got to do this. We got to reprice the product and be leaders in our community, our division, our industry. But okay, that's nice. But how much money am I going to make from it?
Yeah.
That's what you really need to know. You have to respect the analytics.
We ran with a client recently. This was, I guess it was this week, 4 days ago. And this is how recent these data are. It feels like it was weeks ago because we've talked about it so much. So we sent 4 emails to 60,000 customers, so 15,000 each, with 4 different price offers for the same product. So we're testing pricing.
Exactly.
The open rate, in email is minuscule, right? Particularly marketing emails. And so 4 price points, we'll call it low, medium, high. The low price absolutely won. And the high price, although it had some buyers, it was disproportionate. It was like 10-1 on the lower price. Well, so then the question is, so some of the data is like clearly low price wins. So we could just get tricked into always low price wins. But how much did it win by? And if our medium high price, if we took the total number of sales times the price and the total number of low price sales times the price, which one netted the most money, the most gross revenues? Wherein they all have the same like very fixed cost as delivered. So it isn't just that, well, we tested 4 prices and the low price one sold the most. It's that we tested 4 prices and the aggregate of the number of sales times the price, which might lead us to a different conclusion than selling at low volume.
Exactly. You sell less product at the higher price, but how much more money are you making at the end?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're actually making more by selling less.
Maybe there was a curve, like bell curve, where the high price, we threw it out because there was no traction. The low price was potentially so low that somewhere in the middle was actually the right place to be.
Yep.
And that's one test, and we continue to test with the same client. They've got several offers in their value ladder. So there's lots of different price points for different, and we were seeing good traction with one. So we raised the price a little bit, almost, screeching halt, up, bring it back down, right? And we're talking, dollars per unit, not significant, but we kind of found that resistance. And I think the lesson here is that we are constantly testing, or continuously testing for what that right value mix is. Where do our clients, our customers, our buyers equate value to cost? It's the most effective.
Where that really plays well is in industry where there's a perishable product or service. Only so much. Like, for example, in the self-storage business, we had 150 stores around the country. And let's say 70% of them were sold out, right? You're done. And, we had to do other programs to generate revenue in the ones that were half sold. But the opportunity was in the ones that were sold out. Because the philosophy was, well, each year we're going to raise their rents, but only enough so they don't move out. So we're just going to raise them 5% every year. We're going to make 5% more from all those stores. So, whoa, time out. You get a perishable product.
Yeah.
You can't sell any more product there. You need to raise prices until 10% of the people move out. Because now you got 10% to sell.
You have more inventory.
Exactly. Well, what's it going to take? If I raise it, 7 or 8%, maybe I'll get my, 10% vacancy. Well, let's find out. Let's test it. Well, we found out from 5% to 8% to 9, 10, 12. It wasn't until we exceeded 15% did anybody start moving out. So we stopped at 15%, we got about 8% vacancy. Oh my gosh. How much more revenue did 70% of their stores generate the next year at 15 to 16 to 17% more for each unit?
Yeah.
There's the growth plan. Free, no cost, didn't have to hire a sales force or big marketing campaign, and our sales went way up. Our profits went way up.
Yeah.
So pricing is very, very important. You're absolutely right, especially, and conversely, in a commodity market, that's where pricing makes it's a real challenge. There was a bicycle helmet company that retained me with a mission to, they were generating about $5 million a year in sales and losing $500,000. And said, can you turn this around? We need to sell more to be profitable. Well, in the analysis, you found that the bicycle helmets that they were selling, they were making them for like $28, making them. Average retail in the market had gone down to $19.95 because it's a commodity. People, they had to wear bike helmets. So people didn't care about the quality.
We're losing money, so we'll make it up on volume.
Exactly. And you can't.
Yeah. And
so the real solution to them was to get out of the bicycle helmet business, which was, talk about calling your baby ugly.
How did they handle that?
That was, well, you have to give them a solution. They had a side business that was tiny, 20% of their sales, little plastic helmets. They sold them to inline skaters, whitewater rafters, people like that. Well, they made 52 margins on those things. They were doubling their money on them. So why don't we, and what we did was we got rid of the bike helmets, got rid of the tools. We started producing more of the plastic helmets. Sales skyrocketed on the plastic helmets, but still we went from 5 million in 1 year down to $3 million the next year.
Mm-hmm.
From a $500,000 loss to a $286,000 profit in 1 year.
Negative 10%.
Yep.
EBITDA cash flow.
Yep.
To a positive 10%.
Yep. Exactly.
By shrinking the revenue size of the company. So, okay, you've got perishable or, limited, you've got commodity.
Right.
I think of professional services firms like ours, and many think of growth by headcount. We've got 50 people, we've got 100 people. But if those resources are not being productive, they're really just a drag. They're an expense.
Mm-hmm.
When you're selling, I don't know how many people even watch television anymore, right? How do we have this conversation? But if you're selling ad space on, let's call it YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, any digital media, even Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, where the game plan here is to increase eyeballs, right? Get attention, get people to watch the shows, so then you can sell advertising in those slots, right? That's a services business, right? How do you drive growth there?
Wow. There's a couple of different answers to that. The primary one is expanding your market. Okay. Reaching, who's your target? How can we reach more of the target? And how do we stand out from the clutter? There was a insurance company, PNC Insurance, property casualty, real commodity product. Who's the cheapest to insure my automobile or my home with? That's kind of the same percentages, right? Well, in that business, the business model was get a quote, get a quote, get a quote. If I can quote you, Nick, on your business, and I have a decent price and really good service, and you like me, you're just gonna stop there. I'm gonna be your insurance company, but I gotta get you to call me and ask for a quote. So that was how we expanded the market. So the market was, anybody had a car or a house? Well, that's pretty much, that's a big segment of the population, either one. So we actually found a way to motivate them to call for a quote. And how we did that was we identified with them in the marketing. The marketing became the driver. The company was local, only sold insurance in one state. So they weren't like the out-of-towners, the big ones like Geico and Farmers. We're the local yokel. Okay. So we came up with a campaign where we profiled and identified the characteristics of the local population. I mean, the people who live in Texas are far different than the people who live in the Pacific Northwest. There's a different breed in Texas, and you can come up with them. All in the Northwest, same thing. We've got, my favorite was socks with sandals people who wear socks with their sandals. Go figure. They do it all the time in the Northwest. The obsessive compulsive recycler in the Northwest. They wash their aluminum foil to recycle it, get the grease and oil off. It's just, you have fun with the characteristics of the local population. And then you identify with them by saying, here's socks with sandals. You know what? We're a lot like you, a little different. Well, I identified, and when I get ready for my insurance, I'm going to give them a call. Well, quote calls for quotes went up 60% within 3 months after the campaign kicked off. Within 3 months, we were getting 60% more people asking for quotes. Pricing was fair. Sales skyrocketed. It was a great campaign. It went on for years, and it kept growing.
3 different examples. You can't apply good marketing to the bicycle helmet manufacturer because it's commodity. And if I can buy this helmet for $20 and yours is for 30,
easily,
I'm buying the $20 helmet.
Yep.
Unless somehow your $30 helmet has some
unique value component to it.
Some unique value component.
That's a value to the consumer.
Right. But in this case, it still costs $30 to make something that you could sell for 20. So you're not going to get there with slick, catchy commercials. More eyeballs on the product isn't going to solve. You're not going to solve the insurance problem by raising price until you lose 10% of your customers, because that's in a commodity space. People can get insurance anywhere, whereas self-storage, there's a fixed number of units.
Right.
3 different businesses, 3 different unique solutions to growth. And And so here I sit today. Do I need, well, John, fix my company. Do I need a good commercial, or should I just raise my price, or should I scrap my product altogether and go a different route?
I've worked with this company for 10 years, but I got to tell you, I don't have the answer right now because I got to sit down and start processing all the different data points from One Accord, not just the ones I have experience with. There are other ones I've had no experience with. There's other opportunities at One Accord that it's a service I don't provide. Fractional leaders, CEOs and COOs is a big part of our business. I'm not one of those. So I got to look at the whole thing. So right now, I'd love to fix you, Nick, but I don't know how. But I know the process I would go through.
Yeah. A rhetorical question, because we're taking our own medicine.
Right.
We've gone through that journey before the plan, the analysis. Happy to report to you now that we've crossed over a end of quarter and financial period. We're up 40% year over year in revenue. So I can say the medication works, and it's been a combination of a lot of what we've talked about. Number one is narrowing our product. So we used to do all of this, and now we do this.
So smart. That was so smart.
Getting clear about who our ideal client is, the socks and sandals guy, the obsessive compulsive
recycler.
Yeah. I'll say we have opportunity in our marketing to speak more, to speak better to that person. We're working through that. Our pricing, I'm not sure that we have pricing dialed in just yet.
Not yet. But you're on the right track.
Yeah.
We're analyzing. We're dialing it and find out what's the right thing.
I think what we've fallen victim to is in our past kind of paradigm is we had, we carried around a hammer, so everything looks like a nail.
Right.
And we've added to our value ladder. We've added to our service offerings to have things that are more appropriate for companies at the lower end of the spectrum that we serve. But I also candidly think that we are underpricing ourselves on some of our more complicated engagements. When our customers tell us, show me where to sign like that, I think, oh, didn't need to think about that one. Huh?
That's might want to dial on that one a little bit.
Yeah. But I do have the philosophy that we want to deliver value in excess of our client's budget. There's an interesting story too that you've shared with me about just increasing product SKUs, offering different products, and I think we've engaged in some of that. Just here again, adding to the value ladder. One of the things that I wish we could do more regularly is get the voice of our customer, like really hear from the folks that we're serving and understand where they see value in what we deliver. I think that's an initiative that I would like for us to embark on and into the future. We have, we do customer surveys at the end of an engagement. Answer these 5 questions. How would you rate us? Would you refer us to someone else? And we get positive responses. We have regular check-ins with our clients throughout the engagement, but it's like you say, how many people will really share the tough feedback?
That's the challenge,
right?
That's the challenge right there. Yeah. If we could reach this target, ideal customer, family-owned business, significant size, et cetera, we can get the psychographics, demographics of it. But how does that person say we'll be okay with saying I'm in trouble? Right. And like we said at the beginning, that's where these referral agents, they see it. They have the trust of the client.
Yeah.
And they listen to them. So I think that's an important data point that we need to focus on. And there's a way around that. There's a way to solve that. There's a way.
I imagine it this way. You're the owner of, your
manufacturing company,
and I'm your commercial insurance agent. John, we're underwriting next year's insurance. I need to know what your sales are expected to be. Are you buying any equipment? What are your plans for the company? Any changes to ownership? And John says, actually, we've been losing sales.
Right.
I'm getting tired. And I really think I want to sell the company. I wanted to transition it to my son, but he's not interested.
Right.
Uh, he's going to be a TikTok influencer. I don't know what to do. So then I say, John, I think you should talk to One Accord. Like,
Yeah, not the best time to sell it at this point. You're down in sales.
yeah,
Maybe you need another $500,000 piece of equipment needs to be purchased for the next 2 years. We got to turn this thing around so you got a story to sell. And that's one thing. If you want to sell, One Accord can really help turn it around and give you a story to sell.
So we published this book this year.
Yeah.
Your business could be worth more. That's the title of it. We are in process researching our second edition, which will come out January next year. And I'm hopeful that we actually do a new edition to the book every year with some, keeping up with the times. Here's something that we're adding in is a survey of our client base and our network base. So we will be publishing and publicizing a survey that can go out to everybody that we know and collect data from the market. What are you concerned with? What are you paying attention to? What do you want to know? So I'm hopeful that'll glean some insights. And I think what we'll do is for anyone who completes our survey, we'll send them a free copy of the book when we publish it next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a great idea. I think the book is great, especially there's the tool in the current volume where you can actually, take a little survey of yourself and see what, how's your business measure up to what we're talking about here. I think that could be a real eye opener to, and that's a way of reaching that owner and kind of helping them to see the light. Oh, maybe I do need some help. Yeah. And like you say, it's that first step is so important. Make that easy for them. Make it easy for them to buy the self-storage. Make it easy for them to talk to One Accord, to sit down with One Accord. I mean, you're giving them a copy of that book. You're not selling it to them. You're giving it to them. You're giving them information. So that's
something Amazon has done so well is eliminate friction.
Right.
I mean, I might just open up the app and look at something on my phone and it's at my door like 2 hours later.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
And the real strength, I was side note on Amazon, which I find fascinating because I read Bezos' book and I actually interviewed with Jeff Bezos when he was over in Bellevue in his garage.
Yeah.
I thought he was crazier than a loon. I ran away. He wanted to hire me as his VP of sales. And I went back to my cushy little corporate job, and I've never forgotten that mistake that I made. But in his book, I looked at his business back then as how many books and CDs are you ever going to sell? I mean, that's other people are going to find a way to do this better. And it wasn't that he saw selling everything on Amazon. What he saw was the ability for people to talk to other people about the products, the reviews. The reviews become that, and that now obviously make it easier and easier and easier. And he's built the largest network in the world with Prime.
Yeah.
Prime is the biggest group in the world to reach. Bigger than ARP, bigger than anybody else. Used to be ARP was, the king forever because they were going to grow and grow and grow. Well, Prime has passed them far, far beyond.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is wild. But his whole vision there was not just that we could sell everything, that could talk about everything. That's that one thing that we can do that will make things grow in sales. Price here, maybe a new distribution network, make the product easier to sell. I mean, that was so obvious.
I am frustrated in, and this is, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but it's a first world problem, John, for sure.
Yep.
But I'm frustrated that I've got some, some folks, some vendors that provide services for us, and they only take check, which can you believe that?
Yeah,
they only take checks, and generally it's a very personal service kind of business where they would expect to see me in person and shake my hand and exchange a check when they're doing the thing that they're doing, and I'm like, don't you guys have Venmo, or do you use QuickBooks? So it is the case that there are businesses operating today that still haven't.
Oh, there is.
It's
amazing.
It's get with the 90s, folks. But so there's that, and then I look at the juxtaposition against Amazon that is, frictionless, right? I think about it and I have the thing.
You're onto something.
Um, there is a social media influencer, a young woman named Cody Sanchez. I'm a huge fan of Cody Sanchez. And she is talking to the 30-something generation, and she says, buy boring businesses from boomers. That's her tag, buy boring businesses from boomers. And, to the next generation, buy that company that's a sleepy little pick an industry. They build fences. They do garage door repair. They're a machine shop. They're a, whatever, and just tech enable the front end.
Yep.
So like I just complained about people that I have to write a check to, just put a payment portal online. And that business, because unfortunately, these people that I'm doing business with, as soon as I find an alternative that has similar quality, similar pricing,
Easier to work with,
even if it was a little bit more money,
mm-hmm.
the amount of, and this sounds so, like, it is embarrassing for me to say, but like the time it takes me to write a check,
Mm-hmm.
process a check, think about a check, find the checkbook, like seriously, those are the impediments to me doing more business or continuing to do business. And those little pockets still exist.
That's a great example. And in the journey of coming up with a plan, I heard a customer, make those comments. That's one customer. But if I'm interviewing a number of customers, the kind they like, the really good customers, and I hear that as a consistent level, there's a great solution right there.
Yeah.
Make this business easier. That's retention. So you stop the loss. You plug the leak in the boat. Yeah, you don't want to lose customers. Many of our clients don't even think about how important it is to just stop the leak. If you're losing 30% of your clients a year, and that's part of your financials, well, what if I took that down to 5?
Yeah,
exactly. And and there's reasons why people leave.
There are.
Listen to the reasons.
Yep.
In your case, making it easier, you're going to talk about how easy it is. Word of mouth.
Yep.
Other people like you.
I travel a bit for, and I was in a small town, USA. Flew in. I had rented a car through Expedia. So Expedia's made a lot of travel, frictionless.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming down the escalator, scanning the room for my rental car agency, and I see a big poster on the wall. If you rented a car from our brand, call this phone number. Oh, that's interesting. So I call the phone number, and Bob answered. This is Bob, rental car. Hey, Bob. I'm at the airport. Where do I go to? Oh, just meet me outside the door number 3. I'll be there in about 10 minutes. Be in a red SUV or something. Okay, Bob. So I go outside, and Bob picks me up in my rental car, and we drive about 10 minutes away to the shop where they rent the cars from. So it's not on site. Now this, I didn't know this through Expedia. And candidly, I didn't really care. I didn't have anything on the agenda. But if I was, needing to be somewhere, I would have been a little frustrated.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Bob had one of those little 5x8 notepads, press hard 3 copies, white, yellow, pink, that he was filling out for my rental car.
Wow.
And there was a stack of them on the desk next to and I'm like, how do you run your business? This blew me away. Now, 30 years ago, this was
the standard.
This was normal.
That was the standard.
But I'm like, how do you make sure you didn't like miss a dollar somewhere? Surely your accountant, well, you're keeping somebody employed.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. You're keeping a lot more people employed because you're slowing down the process.
Yeah.
You're slowing down the process.
So, there's a boring business owned by a boomer that could be tech enabled. So much opportunity. And I think, if it's making money, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Feels like it's a lot to change. Having somebody like John come in and interview my vendors and call my customers and like, you're gonna ask my mother-in-law what she thinks about me? Like, seriously? But if I want to have a if I want my business to be the best it possibly can be, I need those data, right?
And you make a decision based on data, not a decision based on an opinion. It's it's funny when you talk about the rental car business. I'm just curious. You do travel, you rent cars. What's the one negative of the rental car business that bothers you? One thing that if they could change would make you pick them every single time.
It's the kind of the pickup drop off.
You got it.
And how much time that consumes.
You got it. You got it. And I did analysis in the rental car industry, and it was pickup drop off. But what was interesting, they combined them together. It was like 80% drop off, not the 20% picking up the car. That's fine. I can get in a van, bus. I can go over to the lot that's cheaper and pick out my car. But it was, what if I could just tell you, I've got my flight is on this date. I'm going to leave the car in front of Alaska Airlines, and I'm going to walk away. I'm going to drive it up there, and you're going to have somebody waiting, and I'm going to hand them the keys, and I'm going to go in and get on my flight. Because almost always that is the one service that would mean the most to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a way to overcome that, to make that work, man, dropping them off's a pain in the patootie.
There are some that do it well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to remember the brands, but there are some where it's basically like I check in on my phone and it tells me that my car is, row F, slot 5, keys are in it. When I come back, I just pull up, leave the keys in the car. Somebody walks around while I'm unloading my bags and I'm heading off.
That's enterprise. And that's at their lot.
Okay.
So it's, again, now you got to get from their lot to the gate.
That's the thing is, right. The lot is, so you're suggesting, so here's where, are you familiar with Turo? Turo is the Airbnb of cars. Right. And so here again, like, I tend to think that everybody in the world knows everything about AI and Chat GPT. But I just introduced you to Turo. Right?
Yeah.
So there's an app for Turo like there is for any other, and I can rent a car, but I'm renting it from John, not from Enterprise.
Right.
And sometimes John has a, 2018 Corvette that he wants to lease out on Turo. And that can be kind of fun. Ariana and I rented a convertible sports car when we were in Phoenix to drive up to the Grand Canyon.
Cool.
And affordability, it was almost the same price as like a mid-sized Toyota from Enterprise. So just that. But here's the other thing is the owners of the vehicles can and will drop off and pick up in the drop off and pick up area at the airport. So they've got it. Right. But
they've got the formula.
Some of them do. Others, haven't figured it out. There's disparity between the owners, but some have figured it out.
Well, Turo is a smaller model.
Yeah.
Smaller models can offer more service.
Right.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
But if the Avis and the Enterprises had an agent that could pick up the cars and run them back, maybe that's a $30 service for, doorstop pickup, doorstop drop off. That at volume, at scale makes sense. Or we just wait for the taxi to solve all this. Anyhow.
Yeah, that's Musk has got that one coming. It was 12 years ago that somebody made a presentation to a group I belong with. That was a guy who retired and he was traveling all over the world, renting homes from people, Airbnb. Before it was Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a new concept. And I still remember thinking, that's the goofiest thing I've ever heard.
Isn't it funny?
And it has escalated in a short decade. It has escalated to this huge, huge mass. And what's really fueled that is this new generation of consumers.
Yep.
And I always like to say, I'm the old generation of good customer service. I call the customer service number and a human being answers and they're friendly and they're listening to me and they repeat back what I want. The new generation, I dial, I get a recorded voice. I go online. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to answer my questions and get an answer. Don't let there be a human being. So it's interesting as the market has changed, it's easy for they value the Airbnb and the ability to just order it online.
Yeah. I'm straddling these two, right? I I can identify as a Gen Xer or a millennial.
Yeah, you do. You do straddle.
So there's a part of me that wants to talk to a human being until I actually talk to a human being.
Yeah.
And then I realized that the people that companies have employed to answer phone calls are incapable of solving problems. And this is no disparagement to the individual. It's that the companies don't train, equip, employ, empower.
Absolutely.
Like I have a person on the other end of the phone that, oh, Mr. Anderson, you've come to the right place. I'll handle all your problems. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. What is the purpose of your job right here? To tell me, right? Okay. So I think that the current, the generation, the next generation, let's say, I'd rather send a text message.
She would.
Because then I don't have to listen to someone explain to me why they can't solve my problem.
Have you also ever had difficulty with communication due to a heavy accent?
Oh, for sure.
Oh boy, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And if I can just text, there's no communication issues.
Right.
And if there's different languages and conversion tables, I have no problem communicating anywhere in the world.
Right.
It's a much better system. It will become the norm.
How many customer service agents are answering the phone call from their home where there are literally dogs barking or noises in the background?
Exactly.
Or they're on a headset and it's like,
it's going to go away.
Bad connection. And it's like, why?
It's going to go away. Just like travel agents, it's going to go away.
When did we lose decorum okay, so now we could go all over. I'm reading the book Lean Thinking.
Yes.
So originally published in 96, second edition in 2003. And in the early chapters, the authors are pontificating on two things that I think are hysterical. Number one is a day at some point in the future when readers of books can print a book at home from their personal computer.
Well, wait, why do I need to print it? Why can't I just look at the screen?
Think about where we are today in that
Yeah.
context. And the other is imagining a future when someday people can make their travel arrangements again at home, on their own from their personal computer. Now, we could look at this and there could be like, if my kids were listening to us talk, they'd roll their eyes. Okay, boomer, like you guys are so. But here's the thing. The authors of Lean Thinking, the godfathers of lean management principles, those principles, while we can laugh at their application to travel that we now know as Expedia and books that we now know as Amazon Kindle, etc., the philosophy is still the same. It's creating flow in the value chain and reducing waste throughout.
The everything store. Yep.
And if we can apply those same, and these are manufacturing principles, but if we can apply them to growth and to sales and so forth,
it's great thinking.
Then, on the other side of that equation might be higher revenues or lower revenues, but most certainly is greater profitability. And that's what we're after.
You were talking about the changes you made at One Accord, just by your focusing on the core services. You're increasing the profitability of One Accord.
Yeah.
When it was vastly from when it was expanding to other product services that weren't really its core competency and actually in competition with some people. Whereas what we do, our core business, our consulting, our ability to help create value, grow companies, fractional leadership, all of those, that's a core value of One Accord. That's what we do. We bring you the solution for your business. If you want to sell, well, fix your business rather than trying to sell your business. We have other people that can do a better job selling it.
That's well said. And a great place for us to wrap up this conversation.
Okay.
John, appreciate you so much. Here's the fun part is anybody listening into this episode is going to hear your voice on the intro and the outro.
That's right.
So good. So good. Well, like I said, great conversation today. We'll do it again.
It was good. Thanks, Nick.
You bet.